where if things are from before are now being, it's like somebody told you this would happen and this like this. But I find that like if somebody said like somebody predicted some shit from before and then it happened later on, yeah, that's kind of scary, man. But the thing is, I feel like if these are properly set up, in my opinion, but it could go both ways.
Yeah. I mean, that's when, you know, like, looking at the case of the ancient Egyptians, yeah, it probably could have been properly set up. Because, okay, when it talks about how the Nile River will be basically, it will be violence, right? It will basically be a river full of blood, like, not literally, but like it will be, things will be violent. This is why I said it kind of, and why I mentioned specifically in Sudan and South Sudan, right? You look at, yeah.
Not to cut you off, but nigga, this is crazy. Not just it mentions South Sudan that's getting bloody. So I studied, since I studied East Africa history, you know how bloody the war was in Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya back then?
How bloody?
Yeah, bro, if you go to Uganda, that shit was bloody as fuck. You go to Kenya, that shit was bloody as fuck. You go to Burundi and Rwanda, bloody. Tanzania, bloody. All this places, even Congo was, we already know it's bloody right there, but
yeah,
Congo.
That's
bloody shit.
It's all crazy, because you see, and I think it's interesting that you pointed that it may have been set up, because, I mean, technically it kind of has, you know. I at least know, looking at the Sudanese perspective, right? The Sudanese perspective, like, you know, you can look at it, right? The war, the Sudanese Civil War, the first Sudanese Civil War and the second Sudanese Civil War was, you can almost blame the British. Like, and I'm not the one who's saying this, bro. You look at the Northern Sudanese, I mean, it was mainly the Northern Sudanese who said it, right? And it was mainly like a religious thing where they blamed the British for dividing the North and the South. You know, obviously conflict still could have happened, but it could have happened at like much less than it did, you know, without the divide. You know what I'm saying? And again, you know, I mean, there's way more to it. You know what I'm saying? But like colonialism, it really kind of boosted a lot of tensions Africans already had with each other. People on the African continent already had it with each other. It boosted tensions between the Muslims and non-Muslims, the Arabs, the Arabs who just came in, and the non-Arabs, the different African ethnic groups themselves. You know what I'm saying? It kind of boosted, you know, and it kind of left us into this whole country, the concept of countries. Africa.
And the same thing goes.
Yeah, Africa was never meant to. I don't think Africa was ever meant to have countries like that, to keep it real. You know, and it's crazy because it's like, I support this whole idea of the new Sudan, which I still support 100%, you know what I'm saying? But I think we should probably, maybe we should abandon this idea of a country and probably look for a new or a different type of leadership or you know, organization, rather than the idea of a country, because it seems to not be working for us. Everybody wants to have power. I mean, look, you look at the case of the Dinkas, right? And I mean, the reason why I say Dinkas and not other Equatorian or other Southern Sudanese and Northern Sudanese tribe, I'll explain in a minute. But look at the case of the Dinkas, right? And when we were in the big Sudan, like, you know, the whole Sudan, the older Sudan before it split, we didn't have very much representation in the government. I'm pretty sure Dinkas at that time, back in like the 1990s, used to run their mouth all day about that, and how the Sudanese Arabs and Northerners, or, you know, the bigger ethnic groups used to take all control in the government and leave no room for anybody else. Fast forward, it's 2022. You look, people now, the Dinka, now we're we split into South Sudan. Now we are, you know what I'm saying, the largest ethnic group within our country. And people are blaming us for the same thing. You know, we take up the government, we leave no room for anybody. We want Dinka majority, we don't want other people to have a voice, you know? It's the same thing.
It leads to, like I said, So at least listed different regions to break down. Like for example, Equatorials are talking about doing a separate away from. When they try to say they're gonna separate away from Baja Gazan and Alpana, it's mainly because of Dinka.
Right, but here's the thing, so like, it could be the same situation because if Equatoria was to become its own country, they would probably do the same thing. The big tribes, the big majority ethnic groups and populations would do the same thing that Jenge or the Dinka are doing right now, or that they accuse Dinka of doing.
Yeah, like for example, like the largest ethnic group because combination, like realistically, will be the Zande, Bar, and Los Tuco.
Yeah.
I don't know how the population in Equatorial is kind of, it's because, you know, the difference is Equatorial is made of like 28, like, when we say Equatorial, like the whole region, it's made of many, that's why like out of the whole South Sudanese region, right? Equatorials are the ones that actually brings up a lot of the tribes out.
So they have the most diversity.
Yeah, basically, yeah, they have the most diversity. Like they have the most tribes within the Southern Sudan region.
Okay. Yeah, because that's the thing, man. Corruption. I mean, it's always gonna happen, man. And so like the point. So I think my mind, but the point too is that like since the corruption is always gonna happen, you know what I mean? You know, we're gonna see the same situation happen, maybe in a different form, you know? Like, even if you look in the terms of an ethnic group, you know, like, say if Dinka people had a kingdom, right? Man, there would probably be beef between Dinkas and Jonglei and Dinkas and Bakazal, Western Bakazal, and Dinkas and Upper Nile. Dinkas everywhere. They will probably argue if Dinka Boer had most of the power in the Dinka kingdom.
Yeah, even though they already do have beef, I ain't gonna lie.
It would make it a lot more, you know? It would increase the amount of beef that they have.
Yeah, it'll get worse.
Right. But I mean, yeah, tying that back to the whole Nile Valley thing though. The Nile Valley being, the whole, yeah, you're right though, like, the Nile River for the past centuries has seen nothing but, you know what I'm saying, mass destruction.
Yeah, like for example, it's not just South the Sudan, not the whole country. Hey, if you study the history of like all the, because I study all these countries, right? Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Burundi. We already know Burundi or Rwanda. If you already know parts of Eastern Congo. If you study the war, especially like Uganda, right?
Yeah.
Like, who do not? If you study Uganda, like, cause like you know, like northern Uganda, right? You know, obviously they're, you know, the neighbors of South Sudan. So like, there's some. I can get to that later, but I don't want to get like pick all the time up. But like, Uganda, bro, that shit is, bro. I'm telling you that war is the Uganda. That shit is bloody as shit. That shit is bloody as fuck. When I tell you, bro, I watched like okay, Guardian. You know who Idi Amin is?
Oh, that nigga Guardian just left.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, basically, yeah, like, you study your TV, like, it's bloody. Like, I'm talking about, dude, I watched like a whole documentary about like any of this, or I'll be like, Jesus Christ, this is bloody, man. Because look, you can find some history about Northern Uganda, right?
You said what?
That shit bloody. Like, for example, like, I learned history about Northern Uganda, right? And then that would be bloody. And then I learned about Southern Uganda, which is bound to dominate. Southern Uganda, that's bloody. Bro, Kenya's bloody too, bro. Tanzania is a little bit getting peaceful. But like, I'm talking about, like, you feel like Eastern Congo, where the Nile River also stands there too. That shit is way too bloody too, man. When I tell you Eastern Congo is crazy, bro, no fucking cap. I mean, the whole entire Congo is bloody.
Yeah. So that's crazy, yeah, you know? Like, but yeah, tying it back to the thing, like, it's, you know, it's all like, it's all connected in a certain type of way, man. Like the whole, you know, I mean, this is probably what it gets to like human nature and stuff too. But it's crazy how like this type of stuff is kind of true. I mean, if I had to take a guess, right, there's probably a lot more violence within Africa as a whole today than before. You know what I'm saying? Because before we didn't, even if people, you know, had more testosterone and all that, we didn't have weapons of mass destruction. We weren't, you know,
You said that.
we didn't have all this crazy stuff. Yeah, the tension between us wasn't fueled to the point, you know, like the tension that we have today is very much fueled by economic power. I mean, you know what I'm saying? A lot of countries, a lot of big, like the Western countries, you know, we all the time, they gain economic wealth off the backs of the tension between us. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, you can say it through whatever way it is, but you know, it's in some way, you know, it's very, very true. You know, before that though, we didn't really have these motivations. You know what I'm saying? If the world really cared about Africa, you know what I'm saying, there would be a lot more action taken. You know, guns would be harder to get. I'm not gonna act like that's the problem, but you know, like it's a big contributor.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on. Let me answer to Guardian. Let me talk to him. Oh shit.
Bro, yeah, man, what do you think about that shit predicting the whole reality, the Nile River, Egypt, and everything?
Yeah, man. With the whole prediction and stuff, it's like we gotta figure out who like it's more studying that needs to be done, you know, because it's like, okay,
Especially I ever wrote that, bro. The nigga was dreaming so hard about to do went to sleep right.
Yeah, it was that nigga. They say it was Hermes who wrote it originally.
Huh?
The Hermetica. They say the Hermetica. Okay, so there's like an actual author who probably wrote like the English version, right?
Yeah.
But before that, they say it was like Hermes, right? The Egyptian, not the Egypt, the Greek god Hermes, right? Before Hermes in the book it literally says Hermes got the content of what he wrote from thoughts. So basically, think of it as like, say me, I'm Hermes, right? And I'm getting information from chematology, and I write it into a book. And I call it the Biorica or something, you know? that's what it is.
That's crazy. I ain't gonna lie. Some of these poets got good old things, but you do some drugs. I don't know. Someone took some spiritual medicine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone took some spiritual medicine. They was taken to the goddesses, and they was telling all type of information, bro. And that's when I'm like, holy shit. But look at this now. Look at that now, bro. That shit predicted. That shit leave you on what's happening today.
Exactly, bro. It's just so crazy. But yeah, I remember. No, the thing that kind of like, and I feel like we need to get in contact with the Kepler Society, bro. I want to do some projects with them too, cause they're doing good too. Like maybe hop on one of their podcasts or have them on my own podcast. But I'll probably be like more future stuff. Maybe 2023 we can do that. I want to ask them about this type of stuff. Like, cause I remember I put it in the group chat and I told them like, how is these niggas predicting stuff? And then it was like they already knew about it. Hold on, y'all, can you hear me?